I didn't find out because I was suspicious. I found out because of a mistake she made. A tiny one, the kind most people wouldn't even notice. But I did. And once I saw it, I couldn't unsee it. Started with her phone. Not messages. Not calls. Nothing obvious like that. She was too careful for that. My wife, Emily, was the kind of woman people trusted instantly. Soft voice, warm smile. The type who remembered your birthday without reminders. The type who could lie to your face and make you feel guilty for doubting her. That night, she had fallen asleep on the couch. Her phone slipped from her hand and hit the floor. The screen lit up. I wasn't trying to snoop. I swear I wasn't. But I saw the notification. Not a name, just a contact saved as a single letter. D. That alone wouldn't mean anything. But the message preview did. Same time tomorrow? He'll never know. My stomach dropped, but I didn't panic. Not yet. People joke like that. Friends say weird things. I told myself that. I picked up her phone slowly, like it might explode if I moved too fast. The screen locked before I could read more. Could have put it back. I should have. Instead, I stood there, staring at her sleeping face, trying to match the woman in front of me with the words I just saw. She looked peaceful, safe, familiar, and suddenly, I felt like I didn't know her at all. The next morning, I acted normal. That was the hardest part. I kissed her goodbye before work. She smiled like always, asked if I'd be home early, told me she might visit her sister later. Her sister. That phrase stuck in my head longer than it should have, because something about it felt rehearsed. I didn't check her phone again, not because I didn't want to, but because I didn't need to. Once you start noticing things, they don't stop. That same day, I realized something that should have been obvious weeks ago. Her schedule didn't make sense. She had been busy a lot lately. Random errands, last-minute plans, sudden trips to places that didn't quite add up. And I had ignored all of it, because I trusted her, because I loved her, because I never thought I'd be the kind of guy sitting in his car outside his own house, watching the front door like a stranger. But that's exactly where I was the next evening, waiting. She left at the usual time, casual, relaxed, like it was just another normal day. She didn't know I was already parked down the street, didn't know I was watching her through my rearview mirror as she walked to her car, humming to herself. That hurt more than anything, because if she was cheating, she wasn't even nervous about it. I followed her, not too close, just enough to keep her in sight. She didn't go to her sister's place. She didn't go anywhere familiar. Instead, she drove somewhere I didn't expect. Our old neighborhood, the place we used to live before we moved into this house. My grip tightened on the steering wheel. Why would she go there? We didn't have anything left there. No friends, no family, nothing. Or at least, that's what I thought. She parked a few houses down from our old place. And then she did something that made my chest go cold. She didn't knock. She didn't hesitate. She walked straight up and unlocked the door, like she belonged there, like it was still her home. I sat in my car, frozen, because that house wasn't ours anymore. We sold it over a year ago. I remember packing everything, signing papers, handing over the keys. I remember leaving that place behind. So how the hell did she still have access? The lights inside turned on. Shadows moved behind the curtains. 2 figures, not one. I don't know how long I sat there. Minutes, maybe longer. My brain kept trying to come up with explanations. Maybe the new owners let her in. Maybe she was helping someone. Maybe the front door opened. And that's when everything broke. A man walked out first. Tall, confident, familiar, too familiar. Then Emily stepped out behind him, laughing. The same laugh she used with me. The same smile. The same woman I thought I knew. And then she did something that made my entire world collapse. She reached for his hand, like it was the most natural thing in the world. Like they had done it 1,000 times before. I didn't feel anger. Not yet. Just emptiness. Like something inside me had quietly shut down. Because I recognized him. I knew exactly who he was. And that's when I realized this wasn't something new. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't even just cheating. This had been going on for a long time. Long before that message. Long before that house. Maybe even before we got married. And the worst part? The thing that made it all feel like a sick joke? He wasn't just some random guy. Not a coworker. Not a stranger. He was someone who had been inside my life from the very beginning, and I had trusted him too. I didn't confront her that night. That's what she expected. A reaction. Anger. Chaos. Something she could twist. Something she could cry about later and say I was unstable. No. I needed to know everything first. So I played normal. The next morning, I kissed her goodbye like always. She smiled like nothing had changed. Like she hadn't spent the night in another man's bed. "I'll be late tonight," she said casually while grabbing her bag. I nodded. "Work?" She didn't hesitate. "Yeah." Another lie. The moment she left, I didn't go to work. I sat in my car across the street and waited. An hour passed. Then two. Then I saw it. A black sedan pulled up slowly. Not the same car as last night. This one looked expensive. Too expensive. And then she walked out of our house again. Different clothes. Different energy. She got into that car like she'd done it 100 times before. My stomach dropped. This wasn't just one guy. This was a pattern. I followed them. They didn't go to a hotel this time. They went to a building downtown. One I recognized immediately. It wasn't a hotel. It was an office building. And not just any office. A law firm. High-end. Private. The kind of place where people don't ask questions if you have money. I parked across the street and watched them walk in together. Laughing. Comfortable. Like a couple. I felt something inside me crack. Not anger. Not yet. Just something breaking. I waited outside for hours. I don't even remember how long. Time felt weird. Like everything was moving, but I wasn't. When they finally came out, I got my first clear look at him. Mid-40s. Clean suit. Confident. And then it hit me. I knew him. Not personally. But I knew his name. Ethan. I'd seen it before. On papers. On emails. On something I wasn't supposed to see. And suddenly everything started connecting in the worst possible way. I rushed home. Went straight to the drawer in my office where I kept all the documents. Tax files. Insurance papers. Legal stuff. And there it was. His name. Attached to something that made my hands shake. Contract. Signed. By her. Not recently. Months ago. I read it again. And again. Hoping I was misunderstanding. Hoping I was overthinking. But I wasn't. She hadn't just been cheating. She had been planning something. Something big. Something legal. Something that involved him. And me. I sat there for a long time, just staring at the paper. Because suddenly, this wasn't about betrayal anymore. This was something else. Something worse. I needed proof. Real proof. So that night, I did something I never thought I'd do. I installed cameras. Not everywhere. Just enough. The living room, the hallway, and one facing the front door. I told myself it was just to confirm. Just to be sure. But deep down, I already knew. That night, she came home late. Smiling. Again. She kissed me. Again. Asked me about my day like she cared. Again. And I played along. Because now, I wasn't just watching her. I was waiting. 2 nights later, the notification came. Motion detected. My heart started pounding as I opened the app. And there it was. Her. Opening the door. Letting someone in. But it wasn't Ethan. It was someone else. Younger. Different. And she didn't even look nervous. She looked practiced. Like this was routine. Like I wasn't even part of her life anymore. I watched as they walked inside. As she laughed. As she touched his arm. And then, she said something that made my blood run cold. "I told you he wouldn't find out." He laughed. "Of course not. Guys like him never do. Guys like him. Like me." I felt my hands clench. But I kept watching. Because something felt off. This wasn't just cheating. There was something else in the way she talked. In the way they acted. And then, the guy asked a question. One simple question. That changed everything. What about the plan? She paused, looked around for a second, and then said quietly, "It's almost done. Just a little more time, and everything he has will be ours." I stopped breathing. Everything he has. Ours. Not hers. Ours. This wasn't just an affair. This was a setup. A long one. And suddenly, I wasn't just a husband being cheated on. I was a target. And I had no idea how deep this went. But I was about to find out. Because I wasn't going to confront her. Not yet. No. If she wanted to play a game like this, I was going to let her think she was winning. Until the very end. I didn't sleep that night. Not even for a second. I sat there in the dark, replaying the footage over and over again, trying to understand how long this had been going on and how stupid I had been to miss it. But the worst part wasn't even the cheating anymore. It was what she said. Everything he has will be ours. That wasn't emotional. That wasn't a mistake. That was calculated. By morning, I had made up my mind. I wasn't going to explode. I wasn't going to confront her like some emotional idiot and give her the advantage. If she had spent months planning this, then I needed to be smarter than that. I needed to know everything before I made a single move. So I started digging. I took a day off work and went through every document in the house. Every bank statement, every insurance paper, every email I could access. First, nothing seemed out of place. Everything looked normal on the surface. But then I noticed something small. Transfers. Not large enough to raise suspicion, but consistent. Money moving out of our joint account into a separate account I didn't recognize. I traced it, and when I saw the name on that account, my chest tightened. It wasn't just her. Ethan was connected to it, and so was someone else. The younger guy from the camera. 3 names. 1 account. That's when it fully hit me. This wasn't just an affair or even 2. This was a coordinated plan involving multiple people, and I was the center of it. I kept going. I checked property records next. That's when I found something that made my hands shake again. A small house, recently purchased under a company name I'd never heard of. But when I dug deeper, I found the connection. The company traced back to Ethan's firm. And then I found her signature. She wasn't just planning to leave me. She was planning to move into a place that I would unknowingly pay for. Everything started lining up in the worst possible way. The late nights, the lies, the different men. It wasn't random. Each one played a role. Distraction, manipulation, legal setup. They were building a case. Slowly draining me, shifting assets, preparing for something big. Divorce. A brutal one. And they were going to win it before I even realized it had started. I sat back in my chair and just stared at the wall. For a moment, I actually felt impressed. Not emotionally, just logically. The level of planning, the patience, the coordination. It was cold, efficient, and it almost worked. But they made one mistake. They let me see. That night, I acted normal again. She came home, smiled, asked me about my day, and I played my role perfectly. I even made dinner. I even laughed at her jokes. And the whole time, I was thinking about how I was going to destroy everything she had built. Because now I wasn't reacting. I was planning. The next few days were about gathering evidence. I backed up all the camera footage. I saved every financial record, every suspicious transaction, every document with her signature. I even hired a private investigator without telling anyone. If she had a team, I was going to build one too. And the more we uncovered, the worse it got. There were more people involved. Not just 2 or 3, at least 5, all connected through Ethan, all playing different roles. One handled finances, one handled legal loopholes, one handled surveillance. And her, she was the one inside the house, the one closest to me, the one who made sure I never suspected a thing. Until now. A week later, I got the final piece. A draft of the divorce filing, already prepared, already structured, and completely one-sided, painted me as unstable, irresponsible, financially reckless. It included evidence that I had no memory of, situations twisted, conversations edited, events completely fabricated. They were building a version of me that didn't exist. And it would have worked if I hadn't seen everything first. That's when I decided it was time. Not for confrontation, for execution. I called my lawyer and handed over everything. The footage, the documents, the financial trails, the investigator's report. He went quiet for a long time while reviewing it. Then he looked at me and said something I'll never forget. They tried to bury you, but they handed you everything you need to bury them instead. We didn't wait. We filed first. And not just for divorce, for fraud, conspiracy, financial manipulation, everything. The reaction was immediate. She came home that evening, but she wasn't smiling this time. She looked pale, shaken, like her entire world had flipped in a matter of hours. "Did you do this?" she asked, holding the papers in her hands. I looked at her calmly. "You mean the truth?" For the first time since I had known her, she didn't have an answer.
No smile, no excuse, no manipulation.
Just silence and fear. She tried to talk, tried to explain, said things like, "It's not what you think, and you don't understand." But I didn't interrupt her. I just let her talk until she ran out of words. Then I said the only thing that mattered. I saw everything that broke her, not emotionally, strategically, because she knew the game was over. Within days, everything collapsed. Ethan's firm got investigated. Counts were frozen. The other people involved started distancing themselves, trying to protect their own lives. And her, she was left standing alone in the middle of it, exactly where she had planned to leave me. The divorce went through, but not the way she wanted. She didn't get the house. She didn't get the money. She didn't get anything, because the moment the truth came out, her entire case fell apart. And in the end, the only thing she was left with was the realization that she had spent months planning to destroy me and ended up destroying herself instead. So yeah, I caught my wife cheating. But the truth was way worse than cheating. And if I hadn't checked, I would have lost everything. If you think you would have noticed something like this before it got that far, or if you think I should have seen it earlier, comment your take, because honestly, I still don't know which part was worse, the lies or how close I came to believing them.